following speculation linking him to alleged tender fraudster Hangwani Maumela. Maumela has been identified by the SIU as a key figure in a syndicate accused of looting 2 billion rand through Tembisa hospital tenders. Last week, the SIU raided his lavish 3-story mansion in Sandton, seizing luxury sports cars and other items. During a media briefing in Pretoria yesterday, the presidency addressed claims suggesting Ramaphosa has ties to the alleged fraudster. Ramushwana reports.
Since Hangwani Maumela came into the spotlight for his alleged involvement in looting Tembisa hospital tenders, claims have surfaced suggesting he's President Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew. Ramaphosa has clarified that he was previously married to Maumela's aunt, a union that ended in 1989. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says while Ramaphosa notes the allegations against Maumela, he doesn't consider him a family member.
Just before the president was appointed the deputy president, he gathered his immediate family and relatives and sternly instructed all of them to stop any business that they did with the government. Maumela was not part of that family gathering because he's not part of the president's immediate family.
Magwenya says the president has always been concerned about allegations of looting Tembisa hospital tenders, which is why he signed the SIU proclamation to investigate procurement irregularities at the medical facility. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The first accused in the Senzo Meyiwa trial has admitted to being related to some of his co-accused. Moses Bia took the stand as the defence's first witness in the Pretoria High Court yesterday. The defense opened its case 3 months since the state called its last witness. Prosecutors believe Bia and 4 co-accused are behind the 2014 murder of the Bafana Bafana captain. Khomotso Modise reports.
When the 5 accused initially appeared in the Boksburg Magistrates Court in connection with Senzo Meyiwa's murder in 2020, some of the men denied knowing each other and others said they only met on that day in the dock. But yesterday, Moses Bia revealed that the only one of the accused that he did not know is the alleged gunman Mthobisi Mncube.
I know Ntanzi from back at home. Our villages, they are not far apart. Mapisa, he's from my maternal side. And then Antuli, he's from my maternal side, however, from a distance.
He'll continue with his testimony this morning. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
And Iran says US President Donald Trump's call for peace in the Middle East is inconsistent with Washington's actions. Tehran's foreign ministry has released a statement hours after Trump signed a Gaza ceasefire deal. Iran says the desire for peace and dialogue expressed by Trump is at odds with the hostile and criminal behavior of the United States towards the Iranian people. Iran remains the biggest adversary of the US in the region since the 1979 Islamic Revolution that was led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini toppled pro-Western Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Since then, the two nations have fought over a multitude of issues, including Iran's nuclear ambitions, Iran's backing of proxies in the region, and the US political interference. Gold is trading at $4,127.16 an ounce. The rand is at 17.39 to the dollar, 23.21 to the pound, 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.29 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we still have got heavy traffic volumes along the N3 North between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. That's due to roadworks taking place along this route while traveling in 4 ways. We've got heavy delays on the N1 North. This is between Winnie Mandela Drive and Rivonia Road. Peak time delays have been causing these delays this morning, so please be on the lookout there.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 28 and 31 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Gauteng Premier Manyathela Show has placed the Health Department's head Lisipa Mulatana on suspension.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show, the Tuesday edition on this 14th day of October. It's so wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope you are well this morning and I hope you're ready for the day ahead. Please, can you say some prayers and send some positive vibes for Bafana Bafana? They're playing Rwanda at Mbombela Stadium tonight. It's the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. It's a do or die, guys. We need to win this game and we need Nigeria to beat Benin. So please do what you gotta do, okay? But send some positive vibes. Do what you gotta do. Pray for them. Speak to your ancestors. Just fast if you have to, because we need this one. Is the war over in the Middle East? That's the question this morning. US President Donald Trump believes that it is. He has declared that the war is over. So far, it looks like the peace deal that he has proposed and championed is holding. All 20 living hostages were released by Hamas. I mean, the visuals of those hostages reuniting with their families were extraordinary. It was a day of celebration. It was a day of closure. The bodies of the 4 deceased hostages were released as well. In return, Israel released about 2,000 or so Palestinian detainees, the vast majority of which were held without being charged. So yesterday was quite historic. It was momentous. Whether you like President Donald Trump or not, he has done something here that other world leaders, the United Nations included, failed to do. This is probably his biggest diplomatic achievement yet. He brought on the table these opposing partners and got them to agree on some kind of a peace plan. Whether that's going to hold or not, we wait to see. But his peace plan has led to the release of the hostages. His peace plan has led to Israel pausing on this onslaught on Gaza. Now the focus is on the post-war plan. It's all great that prisoners and hostages have been exchanged, but what's the plan for Gaza? I saw some world leaders attending a meeting in Egypt and signing an agreement to cement this Gaza peace plan. The Egyptian president, in fact, said that he will host a conference on the reconstruction of Gaza. So they want to clear the rubble in Gaza. They want to rebuild homes, set up infrastructure, etc., etc. But there's still questions around how you govern and police Gaza. Because Israel wants Hamas to disarm, but Hamas is refusing to do that. Israel, in my understanding, still doesn't want a two-state solution. So what exactly is the plan? By the way, I must say, what was not so much shocking but interesting to observe was how President Trump, as he addressed Israel's parliament yesterday, he was so nonchalant about the weapons the US has been supplying to Israel to commit these war crimes in Gaza. He didn't even flinch when he said this.
I can tell you we have weapons that nobody's ever dreamt of. I only hope we never have to use them. I rebuilt the military. I was proud to do it, but some of the things I hated to do. I hated certain of the weapons because the level of power is so enormous. It's so dangerous, so bad. But we have to do what we have to do. We make the best weapons in the world, and we've got a lot of them. And we've given a lot to Israel, frankly. And I mean, Bibi would call me so many times, can you get me this weapon, that weapon, that weapon? Some of them I never heard of, Bibi, and I made them. But we'd get them here, wouldn't we? Huh? And they are the best. They are the best. But you used them well. It also takes people that know how to use them. And you obviously used them very well.
But so cringy. It's so cringe-worthy. Like, you know how many children have died in Gaza? Do you know how many innocent people have been murdered in Gaza by the same weapons that Donald Trump speaks of? And he says, you used them very well. The same Donald Trump who's also been complaining about innocent lives being killed in Gaza. It's so weird. I mean, he's done well with this peace plan, and I think you need to give him credit where it's due. But my goodness, to be celebrating giving weapons to Israel, and you want to tell us that they've used them very well, and yet you yourself in your administration at some point were concerned about just international law being violated by Israel. You yourself, as Donald Trump, was frustrated, even used the F word. Remember when he was frustrated by what Israel is continuing to do? Anyway, Bibi, whatever Bibi wants, gets. I mean, he says, yeah, Bibi used to call me and say, I want this weapon, I want this one. Some of the weapons the US has not even ever manufactured before, but Bibi Netanyahu had to get whatever he wants. It's like a little child who's crying for I don't know what. And you've got to give it to them, because otherwise, if you don't, clearly there's going to be trouble there. So how did you feel about yesterday, just watching the hostages and the prisoners being exchanged? And how hopeful are you that this peace plan will succeed? And what do you think can make this peace plan to succeed? I'm interested in your thoughts on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. General Shadrach Sibiya, the Deputy Police Commissioner, appeared before the Parliamentary Committee yesterday. He said some really interesting and revealing things, and I'm interested to know what piqued your interest yesterday. He was asked about Brown Bohotsi, and he confirmed that the man has come to his hotel to have breakfast with him and shared some info. The man has shared some information with him. He's also been asked about Ket Matlala, and he's confirmed that he actually does know Ket Matlala. They've met about 5 times or so. There's so much. I've got some thoughts on this, but I'll tell you in a moment, because I think for me, I always want to connect the dots. And I'm going to try do that even again based on what we've heard from Shadrach Sibiya. But between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're in conversation with Lebogang Maile, Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development. Gauteng is looking to eliminate the tender corruption by going digital. So how is that going to work? And we'll also talk about the Gauteng economy, because I think it only grew by 8% over the past decade, while the population expanded by 25%. So the province needs to address this mismatch between economic output and population growth. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today, we're discussing sourcing and accessing grants for small businesses. At 11:30 on our Health and Wellness feature, we'll be discussing kids' wellness. What does it truly mean to nurture a child's physical, mental, and emotional well-being? That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
So take a listen to what Shadrach Sibiya said yesterday when he appeared before that parliamentary committee. He was asked about Brown Bohotsi, and he confirmed that, in fact, he has called him, and Brown Bohotsi has also called Shadrach Sibiya, and they've met before at Shadrach Sibiya's hotel for breakfast.
Do you know Brown Bohotsi?
I know Brown Bohotsi.
How do you know him?
Brown Bohotsi, I know him as an activist in Northwest, but I didn't know him. I also Googled him and I saw him at some point. He was commenting and making it was an interview, but relating to the former premier and Gauteng, former premier of Northwest, and he also contacted me. Remember that he would also collect some information there around there, what is going on, whether be it the tender-related corruptions there or concerns that he had, and then also he ended up also aiding the fact that look. I just also want to warn you that you must know that the intelligence people are working on you. They are busy in your case after you. I knew about it, and then he was just telling me something that I was aware of. And I even spoke to the National Commissioner about it at some point. I said, NASCOM, I know I just got this strange call from this person. He says he's Brown. I didn't know Brown Bohotsi, but he said he's Brown. And then we were leaving his office, and the National Commissioner said, well, let's keep on listening to him and let's hear what he says, and I didn't entertain it further.
What is your relationship, if any, with Brown Bohotsi?
No,
Senior counsel just before you proceed. General, are you saying that he called you?
Called me. You called me, Chair.
And he informed you that the intelligence people are listening to you or are investigating you?
Yes, Chair, and that was the case.
Without you having had a discussion with him before about a matter like that?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
I had not even met him, not even once. Even my records can show.
But he phoned you?
He did call me.
So his phone will show that? His phone will show that he phoned you?
Yes, the record can indicate that. The records are there, they should be there.
Yeah. So how does he get your number? I mean, a senior person like you in the police, I'm sure a lot of our citizens would want to phone higher ups and frustrated because a crime that's not being addressed or followed up or solved, and then they want to phone higher up. Now, you don't know this guy?
Counsel, I don't know this guy. I never contacted him before, and you do get it because at this level, you get calls from citizens of this country, and they will tell you that I'm so-and-so, I've been given your number by so-and-so and so-and-so.
So that's what he was saying, explaining how he knows Brown Bokhosi. And then he went further to say he's come to his hotel during the January 8 ANC celebrations. He was staying at a hotel and Brown Bokhosi came. They had breakfast there. But he says Brown Bokhosi has shared information with him. Like, as a top cop, wouldn't you want to know how a member of the public has information about intelligence officers? And did Shadrach Sibiya investigate how Bokhosi gathered that information? He was also asked about Ket Matlala and whether he knows him.
We are not friends, or we were not friends. But at the same time, I was getting to know him. I wasn't really, it was, if ever I've met, in my whole life, I've met Mr. Matlala, it is 5 times less. He's not someone that I was really close to. It was just the beginning of knowing each other more. So my interactions with him is really very, very, very limited.
Yeah, he says I was gonna know him more. Guys, do you know who Ket Matlala is? Okay, maybe we must try and connect the dots, right? Because Ket Matlala is accused of being part of a syndicate that looted 2 billion rand from Tembisa Hospital. The top cop, the deputy police commissioner, wants to know more, someone who's accused of such heinous crimes. After the break, we'll try and connect the dots. I'll also get your responses to what happened in the Middle East yesterday. John, Abi, I see you. I'll start with you after the break.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
We're asking you today to be the couch coach and advise what our boys need to do to ensure a victory against Rwanda. Tabiso, let's start with you in Soweto.
The positive attitude is to focus at the game at hand and give it your all.
Monday, you are in Delft here in Cape Town.
Good morning, Africa. I'm a very patriotic South African. I mean, looking at how they played against Zimbabwe, I do not see them doing very well. We would want them to win, but we know that. My hopes are just not high.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Celebrate the diverse musical expressions that connect us across borders, languages, and cultures, honoring ancestral sounds that have echoed across the continent for generations at the Nairox Sculpture Park in the Cradle of Humankind on Sunday, the 2nd of November. Good Neighbors is a dynamic gathering of African artists, both emerging and established, exploring indigenous instruments, layered harmonies, rhythms, and innovative interpretations of traditional sounds, featuring Amatotana Aseweseli, Zawadi Yamungu, and Silent Ngo, among others, as well as MC Loiso Gola. Limited tickets are available from NairoxArts.com. Nairox is a private, not-for-profit foundation to benefit the arts. All income is used to maintain the grounds, the Artist Residency Program, and artist support.
Calling all golf pros. Hollywood Bets invites you to step onto the green. Tee up, take a swing, and enjoy glorious golf action from electrifying competitions and thrilling live tournaments. Get ready to conquer the fairway and chase epic fortunes. Ready to master the odds and experience your crowning moment? Bet now on all the excitement and prepare to make your hole-in-one shot to sensational success. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Lyft is turning 5 and we're celebrating with South Africa. Back in 2020, the public chose our name, and now 5 years later, Lyft is inviting you to design a tale of a real Airbus A320. That's right, your design could take to the skies on one of our aircraft. And the best part? The winning designer gets flights for a whole year. Don't miss your chance to leave your mark on South African skies. Visit lyft.co.za to enter today. T's and C's apply.
702 and Corporates That Care with Investec are talking about Investec's flagship education initiative, ProMaths, in partnership with Kutlwanong Maths, Science and Technology Center.
It started 20 years ago in Dobsonville on a pilot program with 105 pupils. Fast forward to 2025, 28,000 learners have been through the program, and we believe that the impact that this has had has been something beyond numbers, something beyond science. It's about people, purpose and hope. And I think the ability to partner with Kutlwanong to look at how you could build something that could be replicated. So starting with one school in Dobson 20 years ago, now having 19 of these centers operating across South Africa, 10 which are sponsored by Investec and 9 by other sponsors.
Visit mywalk.org.za to learn more. Investec, out of the ordinary on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes after 9 o'clock. John, let's start with you calling from Davidton. Good morning.
Hello, Clement.
Hey, Tada.
Yeah, I'm shocked by the cynicism of Donald Trump.
Uh-huh.
The fact that, that's one advantage, the fact that many prisoners, even those who were sentenced for 20 years and more, have been released is good. But you cannot trust Trump. But that in its own is good. What I'm worried about, why do they want Hamas to disarm when they are arming Israel? How many people died just before this agreement? It was worse than anything. And we must say Trump has brought freedom to the Palestinians. Yes, but we still have to wait for a long time to see whether it works.
Yeah, John, that's true, John. But also, it's not just freedom we're talking about. I think it's too early to even talk about freedom, because also what is freedom for the Palestinians who have nothing left of their nation? But Trump has also brought bloodshed, if we're being honest, in the Middle East, in Gaza, because they have supplied the very weapons that Israel has used to kill innocent civilians. Thousands and thousands of them. Thousands of children who have died as a result of the weapons that Donald Trump has provided, or even the US, not just Donald Trump, even under the administration of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Diale. They have enabled Israel to cause the very same devastation that they have decried. And now they're coming and saying, we have found a solution. Now, let's wait and see if that peace deal is going to hold. But whether you hate Trump or not, that's besides the point. The reality here is he managed to sit on the table, the different opposing parties, and they agreed to some kind of a peace plan. Which world leader has been able to do that? And maybe this is all choreographed. Who knows? Maybe they knew that at this particular point, we're going to intervene and come up with a plan that we know Hamas was not going to say no to. Anything is possible with what we've seen so far. But there's a relief. There are families who had their loved ones being kept by Hamas as hostages. They've been released. There are families in Palestine who have had their loved ones arrested, some without even being charged. About 2,000 of those have been released. there's been a pause on this bombardment of Gaza. That is a relief. And that is a result of a peace plan that was proposed by Donald Trump. Now you've got world leaders that were in Egypt also signing off and saying, how do we make this ceasefire plan be cemented? Whether it will hold, we wait and see. AB, you're calling us from KwaZulu-Natal in Durban. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Clement, yes, I do believe that the whole thing was choreographed and it was just a big scam. But I'll try to be very quick. Some people may be wondering how come the U.S. supports Israel so strongly. The U.S. gives it $3.2 billion every year, and just in the past 2 years donated $31 billion in arms for the genocide. And it raises its hand at the UN to veto any call for a ceasefire. And how come the war criminal Netanyahu received 54 standing ovations when he addressed the U.S. Congress? How come? Well, the answer actually came up in the long rambling speech of Trump in the Parliament of Israel, the Knesset, yesterday. At one point, he acknowledged an American lady in the audience and asked her to stand up and praised her for her strong support for Israel. Who's the lady? Her name is Miriam Adelson. And Trump laughingly blurted out that she's worth $60 billion. She and her husband own a whole string of gambling establishments. Trump forgot to say that in the 2016 presidential election campaign, Miriam's husband, Sheldon, donated $100 million to Trump's campaign. The moment Trump entered the White House, he declared that the U.S. recognizes Jerusalem as the undivided capital of Israel. Remember that East Jerusalem in international law is regarded as occupied territory. He also declared the Syrian Golan Heights, which Israel captured in the 1967 war, as belonging to Israel. In last year's election campaign, Miriam Adelson donated $103 million to Trump's campaign. Is it therefore no wonder that Trump bought and paid off, gives full support to Israel and fueled the genocide with billions of dollars and weapons and protection at the UN? And Clement, very quickly, may I add that the powerful pro-Israel lobby groups in America donate huge amounts to each U.S. Congress member. These are not conspiracy theories. A simple Google search will confirm that is openly discussed in the United States.
AB in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, thank you for your call. It's 9:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. I've got some more calls and WhatsApps coming through, also responding to Shadrach Sibiya's testimony yesterday in Parliament. We'll connect those dots as well, and I'm interested in what piqued your interest yesterday. How did you find his testimony and what he has had to say, particularly in relation to these problematic characters that is associated with Brown Bohosi and Ket Matlala? Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Suspended Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrach Sibiya has denied any involvement in criminal activity. Sibiya says he also doesn't have the time to have meetings with drug lords and crime kingpins with his heavy workload and travelling. Sibiya was pleading his case yesterday before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating alleged police corruption and interference. Parliament's inquiry into the Road Accident Fund will hear from its first witness today as it investigates maladministration at the fund. 3 people are set to testify about procurement and financial management. This is the second week of the inquiry being conducted by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, which last week focused on getting information about the claims process and the latest audit deals. And Cameroon's opposition leader Issa Chiroma Bakary has claimed election victory against incumbent President Paul Biya. Biya has been in power for 43 years, with official results from Sunday's vote not expected for 2 weeks. Bakary, a former employment minister, declared in a post on Facebook calling on the government to accept the truth of the ballot box or plunge the country into turmoil. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
On the N3 North, we still have got heavy traffic volumes between the Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. That's due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route. If you want to try and avoid this congestion, then maybe try using the R21 north towards areas like Midrand as well as the city of Tshwane. While traveling on the N12 as well as the R24, west delays between Edenville Road and the Kidulis interchange. The traffic is also very slow along the M2 west between Heidelberg Road and the Crown turnoff. This is if you're heading towards the Joburg CBD as well well as Amalgam. In Fourways, queuing traffic along Winnie Mandela Drive towards Leslie coming out of Witkappen Road. There's also queuing traffic in Melrose along several routes due to power outage in that area. So as a result, we've got delays along Corlett Drive, Athol Oaklands, as well as Oxford Road. Please approach with care there. More updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
There's somebody listening that resonates with this concept of default parent, and they are the ones who are realizing, oh my gosh, how does a person memorize a shoe size, a color, the teacher's names, what the favorite food is of the week, because children grow up and evolve and change.
Sometimes people can try to be a bit passive and just hope that things do pan out, but with children and with families, you have to be really intentional. And so if it means typing out a list and printing it out and having it in your home office or wherever on your phone of your child's name and their date of birth and what medications they're on and whatnot, then if you want to be present, you're going to have to prioritize those things.
Right, and clinical psychologist Lesego Lekgotwane.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
Here at Betway, we're finding every way possible to make sure you can win your next sports bet. With our new Bet Saver feature, you could get your stake back or more on bets with multiple losses. Stand to win even when your bet misses. Bet Saver, exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Your voice,
your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Your calls on 011-883-0702 on the 702 open line. Your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702.
Morning, claiming Mwagwe Joburg. Yeah, he says he didn't know him. He has to Google him. Huh? We just Google people and then we met them in the hotel rooms somewhere. Then we don't know them. And the same person gives me information that there are people who are investigating me. There are people who are onto me. Then he come and tell us that he don't know him. This guy can do better, man. Severe. I listened to him yesterday, but he was not convincing. No, we are late. We are in deep trouble. Have a great one, Clement. Mwagwe Joburg.
Morning, Clement and the team. I'm sorry, but I've never seen someone fumble so many words for us to see. He fumbled. I feel like he's the most biggest liar. If there's truth, and maybe we don't know how lies look like, but this guy, wow. Like, 1 minute he's saying this, then he contradicts what he just said, and I kid you not, he kept moving. Like, I swear, if a lie detector test person had to see that man, he'd say, there, he's lying there. I'm telling you, other than that, maybe we're stupid, I don't know.
Clement, I trust you well.
Look, if one pays attention to Sibia's body language, it really says it all. It says it all than what meets the eye. He is not convincing as someone who is innocent. The chap knows something. Anyway, let's see how it goes. Let's see what he has to say moving forward. Thanks, Clement.
Hi, Clement and the team. Isn't that we will be unfair to General Sibia? Because even General Mkhwanazi once said that he received a WhatsApp message from Wo Matlala Libo Molefe. So don't you think that, but we didn't ask General Mkhwanazi, where did they got his number? So, yeah, David.
Yeah, I think you're making a fair point, David. In fact, remember there was a time when Malcolm X, the super consultant, I should say, in sentence said that he had called General Mkhwanazi, and or that General Mkhwanazi also tried to call him, returning his call, and he missed his call, something along those lines. So I think it's a fair point to be asking, okay, how did these people get your number? But I can tell you, it's not really difficult to also get numbers of, police commissioners or deputy police commissioners or provincial commissioners, especially for people who seemingly seem to be so connected with other political players. So it's very easy to do that. But I think you're right. The question must be asked across the board. What's clear here, number one, is there are factions in the SAPS, and this is not the first time there are factions. You can already tell that there's a group here, right? And then there's another group here, and both are going head to head against each other, right? And both of them had tried to use their powers, right, to try and go after the other. Dumisani Khumalo is the head of crime intelligence, who is clearly here with General Mkhwanazi. And they tried to they arrested him in a dramatic fashion at OR Tambo International Airport. IDEC seems to believe that there's a serious case against Dumisani Khumalo. General Dumisani Khumalo. We'll find out when IDEC hopefully takes a stand at the Madlanga Commission, or if they're going to be in the parliamentary inquiry. But then you also have the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Fanima Samola, also part of that group. Now you've got the Deputy National Commissioner, who seems to be aligning himself more with the Minister of Police, Senzo Meyiwa. So it's going to be interesting what continues to come out. But let's try to connect the dots based on what Shadrack Sibia has said so far, right? Let's start with Ket Matlala, because he says he's met Ket Matlala about 5 times or so. Ket Matlala is accused of being part of a syndicate that looted about 2 billion rand from Tembisa Hospital. He's in prison now because the police say he is linked to the murder of DJ Somebody. Police have also have him on charges of attempted murder because they believe he organized the hit on his ex-girlfriend, Tebogo Tobejane, right? Now, why was he trying to kill his ex-girlfriend, Ket Matlala? Why was he trying to kill his ex-girlfriend? Well, the ex-girlfriend, Tebogo Tobejane, says that's because Ket knows that she was aware that Ket is the one that organized the hit on Babita Deokaran. That's what she told the police in the affidavit. That the man wanted to kill me because I know he was responsible for Babita Deokaran's murder. Now, who is Babita Deokaran? She is the whistleblower that revealed that 2 billion rand was being looted at Tembisa Hospital. At the time, it wasn't even at that amount. But she was flagging certain suspicious transactions and tenders at the Tembisa Hospital. She was killed in a hail of bullets outside her home. This was after the criminals she flagged realized that she was onto them. They realized that this woman is coming for us. Now, back to Shadrack Sibia. What is the Deputy National Commissioner doing getting to know a man like Ket Matlala? Because he says we've met about 5 times and I was getting to know him. I was knowing him more. What is the top cop, a Deputy National Commissioner, doing to get to know a man like Ket Matlala? The man that is being accused of such heinous crimes. Did he not do any homework to check who this man is as a police officer? Okay, forget Ket Matlala. Let's talk about the businessman Serge Kabonge, right? Because Shadrack Sibia says, well, Ket Matlala was had gotten a tender at one of the SAPS hospitals or clinics, so everybody knows him. Let's put him aside. Let's talk about Serge Kabonge, whom I interviewed on this show. He told me that he's close friends with Shadrach Sibiya. This is the same Serge Kabonge that is friends or business associates with Kat Matlala. Who is the mutual friend between Serge and Kat? It's Shadrach Sibiya. What is he doing with these characters? Serge Kabonge told me on this show that he's also friends with Hangwani Maumela. Who's Hangwani Maumela? The guy the SIU went to his house just the other day and attached those Lamborghinis, or as that lady said on Friday, Lamborghinis. And then there's Brown Mokgotsi, the man who has been talking to Serge, the man who has been talking to Ket Matlala and promising him his troubles will be over when the TAS team gets disbanded. That same Brown Mokgotsi has met with who? Shadrach Sibiya at Sibiya's hotel in January. So I ask you, who is the common associate between Brown Mokgotsi and Ket Matlala? It's Shadrach Sibiya. So to be clear, the Deputy National Commissioner, Shadrach Sibiya, is friends with Serge Kabonge, who is friends with Ket and Hangwani, who are accused of looting 2 billion rand from Tembisa. But also, General Sibiya is not only associated with Ket through Serge. He had a direct relationship with him. That's why he says they've met 5 times. He also has a direct relationship with Brown Mokgotsi. They've had breakfast at his hotel. These 2 people were worried about the political killing stars team, Ket and Mokgotsi. And guess who was spearheading the disbandment of the political killing stars team? Shadrach Sibiya. Even though he says that he has done that for reasons other than to protect the criminals that the TAS team was investigating. So what picture does that paint for you? When you have a top cop like that associating with people who not only some are behind bars, but people who also are accused of having killed a heroic whistleblower who tried to expose a corruption that involved the looting of about 2 billion rand from Tembisa Hospital. The people being accused of the syndicate of looting that money somehow seem to be associated directly or indirectly with the top cop. And he says, I wanted to know him. We were still getting to know each other. What picture does that paint for you? It's 15 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Patrick, you're calling from Kempton Park. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
All right, man. Go ahead.
All right. Man, just a layman on the street. I don't know if there's any general who can claim not to know Ket Matlala. Because Ket Matlala won the tender of SAPS and he was supplying them with a service. So surely everybody knows him in the SAPS. Who say doesn't know him? Maybe not close to him, but they all know him. All those generals all know him. He won the tender. He was dealing with the SAPS.
Do the generals know every single person who got a tender in the SAPS? You know how big the SAPS is? Probably one of the biggest departments, right? So are you suggesting that the generals in the SAPS then know all of these guys who get tenders from the SAPS?
I'm not saying so, but I'm saying Ket Matlala, with that big tender he got in the SAPS, surely most of the generals know him. Most of them know him. They might not know him, all of them, but most of them, they know him very well.
So what about others who received bigger tenders? Do they know those people too?
They know. Come again?
I'm saying, what about other business people who have received tenders that are bigger than what Ket Matlala received? So the generals would know them too.
In the organization, whoever won the tender is published.
Yeah, I know. I hear that, Patrick. But I'm saying
they know.
So they know. Okay. And then the generals would also meet with those people like for about 5 times and get to know them.
We just didn't ask most of them, but most of them, they made themselves, because they say the guy was working with the police, remember. He was doing a service to the police.
Fanny says he didn't. Also, you don't meet with deputy police commissioners just because you got a tender from the SAPS. That's not how it works. So if the deputy national commissioner says, I was still getting to know this person, why? For what reason is it?
Remember the guy again said what? He's information collector. He's collecting information. He can talk to anyone to get information.
Okay, so he was collecting information from Clement Manyathela.
Yes.
And even from Brown.
No. remember the guy works in intelligence.
Who?
Doesn't he work in the crime intelligence?
Who's this?
Sibia.
Well, he's the deputy national commissioner.
So how do you gather information? You talk to all the criminals.
Oh, that's not what he said yesterday in Parliament. He's not saying I met with Clement Manyathela because I'm trying to gather information. He said I met with Clement Manyathela about 5 times and I was still getting to know him.
But don't they do that naturally by meeting the criminals, talking to them to get more information out of them?
And at least they must say so then. At least they must say so. You know, the same way that with Brown Mokhotsi, he says, I met with Graham Mokhotsi because he had information about some intelligence officers. Even that I find to be weird. I mean, if someone calls you as a top cop and they tell you that there are intelligence officers behind you, the first thing I would want to do is, first of all, who are you? Second of all, where did you get that information? Because you're not even in the SAPS. But that's not his approach. In fact, his approach is, okay, you can come over to my hotel. Let's have breakfast. With a man you don't even know?
So, something I realize as well is that those evidence leaders there, they don't lead us to anywhere. Because those questions you asked, they should have asked that.
Yeah, but today the MPs are going to ask. Yeah, I think, Patrick, let's wait for today. Yeah.
Let's hope so.
It's so disappointing sometimes when you're listening to the evidence leader not ask follow-up questions. Because some statements are made and there's no... I mean, even with Genome Corners, I felt it was worse. I just felt the evidence leader was out of his depth. There are certain questions that needed to be asked. There's follow-up questions that needed to be asked. There was none of that, in my view. In fact, if anything, when the politicians, the MPs, were beginning to ask questions, that's when we were beginning to move somewhere and get clarity on other issues. But this time around, I think maybe the evidence leader is getting more comfortable. But still, there are some key questions that need to be answered, some follow-up questions that must be made too. But today, members of parliament are going to be putting questions to Shadrach Sibia, and I suspect there's probably going to be more that comes out today because, they won't be holding back, I suspect. It's 10 minutes before 10 o'clock.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Moreleta Park. Moreleta Park is a suburb situated in the eastern part of Pretoria. Morelet is named after Letta, a farmer's daughter who lived in the area when it was still farmland. The story goes that as she did her washing in the nearby river, passers-by would greet her saying, Moreleta. Moreleta Park is home to the Moreleta Kloof Nature Reserve. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Moreleta Park.
Mzansi, Powerball has skyrocketed to a mind-blowing 140 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday. Play Powerball for an estimated 140 million rand today and stand a chance to win the life-changing jackpot. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without My Way's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go back to your WhatsApp voice notes.
Clement, Anonymous here. As people who are investigating, we receive calls from anyone. People want to give us information, and all of a sudden they will say to people, I know that one. She works at a certain place. She's my friend. And she'll be giving you information, and she'll be trying to get favors. Those things happen. I believe about 90% of what CBI is saying.
90%. Okay. I think there's more. Hopefully that's still going to come out. Let's wait to hear what the MPs are going to ask today. But also, when General Sibia goes to the Madlanga Commission, we'll hear some more details. But what's clear here, my friends, is that we're witnessing a war between colleagues. There are factions in the SAPS that are fighting hard. And this is something I said from the beginning as well. And I mean, I'm particularly grateful for the revelations we've seen. I think we've been able to sort of connect the dots around the people that are involved, the people that have used their links to these top cops to try and probably evade some accountability. That has helped us a lot. But that also has come with just the fight that's been happening within the SAPS. And that's what happens. They start arresting each other. They start going to each other's houses and doing all sorts of things because it's a fight that's underway. And I hope at the end of the day, we're going to get a Madlanga Commission and a parliamentary inquiry that helps us with overhauling and restarting this incredible institution in South Africa's democracy, this police service. Kwabena, you are calling us from Little Falls. You want to comment on the issue in the Middle East. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
Yeah, my point is that it's unfair to say the United Nations failed where Trump has succeeded, because most of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on Gaza were vetoed by the U.S. Secondly, when Trump arrived on the scene, there was already a plan in place which was going into the second phase, which involved the same exchange of the rest of the hostages for the prisoners and the pullback of the Israeli army. It was the same Trump who advised Netanyahu not to go into that second phase, which prolonged the war. Maybe some of the dead hostages probably would be alive if that second phase had been implemented. And lastly, Trump's plan has introduced some impossible things, like the disarming of Hamas not being part of the future of Gaza, which is their homeland. Some of these things are deliberately introduced into the plan by Trump to give Netanyahu an excuse to go back in there at a certain point and resume the war. So before everybody, jumps on Trump's bad one, I think things should be put in perspective.
So, a few things there, Kwabena. When you say that Trump arrived to a second phase of the deal, who negotiated this first phase of the deal that we have seen now?
That deal was negotiated by Biden's administration.
Which deal?
There was a deal between...
Yeah, but that didn't go through. The first deal...
Remember the first phase of that deal involved the stage-by-stage release of the hostages.
Yes, it didn't hold.
There were several ceasefires, and certain numbers of hostages were released.
But Kwabena, even John Biden said...
There was a second phase.
Even Joe Biden said during that time, because that's the time when he was about to leave office, it was in December, Trump was about to come in Jan. Even Joe Biden said Trump's envoy played a critical role in those negotiations.
Yes, they did play a role. But the second phase was never implemented.
Yes, but that deal is gone. So you can't want to use the deal that was negotiated and failed a year or so ago. You want to use it now.
Because Netanyahu was advised not to go into the second phase. Remember, he insisted on going back to the first phase.
Yes, but Kwabena, there's a new deal right now as we speak. So that deal, who negotiated that deal that has seen the hostages being released right now? Was it not Donald Trump?
Fine. That's amazing. But what I'm saying is that this could have been done earlier.
Absolutely.
And maybe some of the dead hostages could have been saved.
Absolutely. Nobody disagrees with you there. But let's be factual. Donald Trump is the one who negotiated this current deal. And on the United Nations, I've said before, I even had a conversation for a year on the show. I think the United Nations has failed us fundamentally. And the reason I say it's failed us is because it's failing to even reform the Security Council. The architecture of the United Nations as it stands now enables these powerful countries to veto the resolutions. So the minute the United Nations also becomes serious about reforming its architecture, then we are probably going to see a situation where it becomes the multilateral institution that it's been intended and formed for.
That I agree with you 100%. But in this particular instance, there seems the lack of reform in the UN, which allowed the US to veto all the resolutions on Gaza.
Yeah, and also Russia, because there are other powerful countries in the Security Council who use their power, and it's not just been the United Nations. But guys, whether you hate Trump or not, he made sure on the table there are opposing factors. Right now, any living hostage is no longer with Hamas. Right now, 2,000 plus or so Palestinians who were detained, most of whom without being charged, are no longer in Israeli prisons. That's because there's a first phase that was negotiated here. Now we wait for the second phase. Nobody says the US doesn't have blood on his hands. I actually believe that they've enabled this onslaught on Gaza. But here we are now, whether it was choreographed or not. And we wait to see if the second phase is actually going to hold. It's 10:01.
Are you ready to be inspired and grow your business? The South African Future Trust Summits, in partnership with Standard Bank and 702, returns to the Sandton Convention Centre on 5 and 6 November. Gain insights from international and local speakers, connect with entrepreneurs and investors, and come and pitch your business idea or come and buy a business in a box. Tickets are limited and selling fast. Grab yours now at summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org.
At Anglo American, we mine more than minerals. We mine possibility and progress with purpose. For over a century, we have been part of South Africa's story, investing in our country's potential and unlocking opportunities together. This year alone, through our Kumba iron ore business, we've invested 25.9 billion rand into South Africa. This includes infrastructure development, education and healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Follow us on our social media channels, Anglo American South Africa, and join the conversation. Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 in brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The witness set to testify before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today and tomorrow will do so anonymously. This follows an application by News 24 and Daily Maverick to oppose having the witness testimony being heard in camera. Commission Chair Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga ruled this morning that one of the evidence leaders will act as an intermediary for the witness. This means the witness will testify remotely and answer questions which will be fed fed into the headsets of evidence leader Advocate Thabang Poe, who will then repeat the witnesses' answers.
The witness will testify remotely and off camera. The answers of the witness to questions posed by the evidence leaders will be repeated publicly through an intermediary whose voice will be broadcast live as he or she repeats the witness's words.
In Parliament, suspended Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia has denied any involvement in criminal activity. Sibia says he also doesn't have the time to have meetings with drug lords and crime kingpins with his heavy workload and travelling. Sibia was pleading his case yesterday before Parliament's ad hoc committee probing alleged police corruption and interference. The suspended head of crime detection has been accused of corruption and having links to criminal underworld by KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He says he was taken by surprise when National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola said he believes the allegations.
I'm every day with the National Commissioner or with the Minister. I'm all over throughout the country. I don't have time to go to meet some drug lords somewhere and start engaging in the operations such as those. So I'm just saying that I don't commit crime. I'm not involved in crime.
Parliament's inquiry into the Road Accident Fund will hear from its first witnesses today as it investigates maladministration at the fund. 3 people are set to testify about procurement and financial management. This is the second week of the inquiry being conducted by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, which last week focused on getting information about the claims process and the latest audit details. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
It's not yet clear whether today's witnesses are former or current employees of the fund, but the 3 are set to provide insight about procurement matters. On Friday, the Special Investigating Unit laid bare some of the irregular processes at the fund, which it's been investigating over the last 5 years. The SIU says past board members have been found wanting in executing their fiduciary duties, including the disbandment of the RAF's panel of attorneys. This week, the inquiry is set to focus on the awarding of contracts for the panel of attorneys, medical experts, media and marketing services, as well as security services. On Friday, the committee is also set to hear from the Law Society. The committee has indicated it intends to call former RAF board members to explain their role in a number of the instances, including a legal challenge against the Auditor General on its accounting standards. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Legal Aid South Africa says it's extremely concerned with the delays and setbacks in the Senzo Meyiwa trial. The trial resumed yesterday after another lengthy postponement. The defense has finally opened its case, calling its first witness. Yesterday, Legal Aid's High Court Unit Manager Joshua Mojuto attended court proceedings to see whether the defense would bring an application as agreed in prior meetings. He says the funder of the accuser's case, or as the funder of the accuser's case, Legal Aid is watching proceedings closely.
Legal Aid is very concerned with the delay that we have experienced, and we have been managing the matter. We have been having meeting with the practitioner, giving specific instructions as to how, as the instructing attorney, we would like the matter to proceed.
And Cameroon's opposition challenger Issa Chiroma Bakary has claimed election victory against incumbent President Paul Biya. Biya has been in power for 43 years, with official results from Sunday's vote not expected for 2 weeks. Bakary, a former employment minister, declared in a post on Facebook calling on the government to accept the truth of the ballot box or plunge the country into turmoil. While the tally sheets are allowed to be published, final results must be announced by the country's Constitutional Council. In the 2018 presidential election, opposition challenger Maurice Kamto declared himself winner the day after the vote. He was subsequently arrested and his supporters' rallies were dispersed with tear gas and water cannons, with dozens arrested. Biya, the world's oldest serving head of state, is vying to extend his decades in power. Gold is trading at $4,127.16 an ounce. The rand is at 17.39 to the dollar, 23.21 to the pound, 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.29 a barrel.
And in the traffic, there's been an accident on the N12 West. It happened after Edenville Road. It's causing heavy traffic volumes. There's also queuing traffic along the M1 North due to another accident seen right near Smith Street. Delay is coming out of Boyson's Road towards Empire Road. Please be on the lookout there.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 28 and 31 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The witness set to testify before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry today and tomorrow will do so anonymously.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line this morning. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today, we'll be discussing sourcing and accessing grants for small businesses. Because passion, ideas, determination, you name it, those are the things that often drive entrepreneurs forward, but the reality is that they still need access to financial support, and without that, even the most promising ventures will struggle to grow. So today on our World of Work, we're going to be looking at what the process of sourcing and accessing grants actually looks like. You know, where can you as a small business begin, and what do funders really look for when deciding who gets the money? So that's a conversation coming up, and I'd like to hear from you if you are an entrepreneur, if maybe you've tried to source some funding from whether it's the NYDA, the IDC, whatever institutions that provide capital funding for small businesses. How was that experience for you? So we'll speak to Dagmar Brailing, who's the CEO of Fundraising Connection. He's also a fundraising expert, and he'll just walk us through the ins and outs of identifying the right grants, but also crafting compelling applications and navigating what is really often a complex world of small business funding. And then at 11:30 on our health and wellness feature, I want us to have a conversation about kids' wellness. What does it truly mean to nurture a child's physical, mental, and emotional well-being? Because all these elements are deeply connected to their growth, they're connected to their confidence and long-term success. So as a parent or caregiver, how have you prioritized your children's well-being? How do you balance, nutrition and playtime, emotional support, the boundaries, so that you're raising happy, resilient kids? That's a conversation we're going to have on our health and wellness feature at 11:30.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
Right now, we start our conversation with Lebogang Maile, Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development. Gauteng has been looking to eliminate tender corruption, and they've got a few ideas. They want to go digital, and I know this is something that we have spoken a lot about on the show, in the tender system and how that's been, it's been exploited to its limits, really, by these people who just want to loot and steal from the poorest of the poor and from these government entities. So what the Gauteng department has aimed to do is to go digital. Lebogang Maile has said that the province will digitize procurement system and introduce AI tools that will help curb fraud and irregularities, with the goal of going fully digital within the next 2 years or so. So we've invited the MEC to come to speak to us about this and other issues as well. So he joins us now via Zoom. MEC Maile, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Morning, and thanks for having us, Clement.
Let's start with the Gauteng economy and what the plans are to try and keep on resuscitating it? Because I saw that the economy in Gauteng only grew by about 8% when you look at it over the past decade, while the population expanded by about 25%. How is the province addressing this mismatch between economic output and population growth?
One of the decisions we took last week, Wednesday, was to adopt an economic plan for the province, which we will be unveiling how we want to grow the economy of the province. And some of the things that we will be saying, which are contained in that plan, includes the growth target that we'll be setting ourselves, includes how we want to reduce unemployment, how we want to fight poverty. It includes which sectors we will be prioritizing in the Gauteng context, and how we will be collaborating with other provinces, especially immediate, those that are next to us, Limpopo, Free State, Mpumalanga, Northwest, amongst others, because there's a lot of activities that are taking place and can be taking place amongst these provinces with ourselves. But it also will include how we will focus on township economies. As you know, we've been focusing on that. We will also be in that plan explaining how we plan to contribute towards the national growth target. Because if national was to achieve the target which the president has set, Gauteng has to come to the party and grow significantly. So in short, and I know I'm not giving you specifics, Clement, I know you're saying, but what exactly I'm saying. But the plan is there. That's what I would say. You know, we came into office last year as this 7th administration, and we have acknowledged that there are several challenges. And unfortunately, some of those challenges are beyond us. They will require national government, like the issue of energy, the issue of water infrastructure. And then there's other challenges which might be continental and international. So we will have to work with the national government because the Gauteng economy is part of the South Africa's economy, and we can't build it in isolation from the national government's efforts.
Yeah. But what sectors are you looking at? I'm hoping you can at least give us a taste of what sectors you will be focusing on as you try in that plan to grow the economy in Gauteng. Because there's been criticism in the past that there's been an over-reliance on a few sectors. Manufacturing's contribution to the GDP, in fact, has been shrinking. And I know in the past you've re-emphasized reindustrialization as central to Gauteng's strategy. So how are you revitalizing sectors such as automotive or pharmaceuticals? I'm trying to get a sense of what sectors you're going to be prioritizing that are going to help grow this Gauteng economy.
Yeah, as you know, the Gauteng economy is diversified. You all have almost most, if not all, sectors. We just need to decide where do we focus based on the performance of those sectors. One of those, and I'll come to the automotive and manufacturing. One of those is tourism. And I know many people think we're not big on tourism, but when you look at the numbers, I think just in the last financial year, there's been at least 3.8 million people who came to the country. And unfortunately, we have not been able to keep a lot of them in the province. Some of them come and they are en route to other parts of the country. So one of the things we would have to work on is to increase the stay of visitors in the province, and that will significantly contribute towards economic growth and job creation. The automotive sector, as you know, we are one of the provinces, including, in fact, we are one of the three, I think, that are biggest in terms of the manufacturing in the automotive sector. The others will be Eastern Cape and KZN. And in Gauteng, you already have BMW, Ford, and Nissan amongst other players who are manufacturing. And there's been plans to, for instance, expand a rail line from here, starting in Tshwane to Gqeberha, to expand it so that we are able to move goods easily in the automotive sector. As you know, they're based in Tshwane. And National Treasury has been supportive. They've made monies available, but there were some challenges on the issues of tariffs, which includes Transnet. And that's the point I was making earlier on, that there are issues that are beyond us and they will need the support of national government. But we are working, and Ford is the off-taker, for instance. And we think that will go a long way in helping to propel the automotive sector in our province. But also, we want to work with one of the universities in Tshwane. We will be making that announcement to have a permanent research chair in that automotive industry. Look at what, how do we enhance research and move with speed to implement new and innovative ideas in the sector. And as you know, the US tariffs imposition has been a huge blow on the sector as well. There's also other tiers in the sector which are contributing to the tier one, which were affected significantly. So we are focusing on the automotive. We are working with them, in short, with the players. And in fact, our approach on all the sectors, including manufacturing. And as you know, manufacturing, for instance, without energy, amongst other things, energy that is reliable and that is affordable, it would be very difficult. You would have heard the Minister of Energy has made a commitment for reliability and affordability. And once again, that's another element which is dependent on national government, and we have to work with the national government. We are working with every players in the sector because we understand that our responsibility is to create a conducive environment. We will not want to assume responsibilities that are beyond our capabilities. And that's why in every sector, one of the things we will be announcing is the creation of what we call action labs. And those action labs it's basically the private sector. If it's in automotive, it will be those who are in the organized business, the individual business people, the experts and government and the academia, for instance, to say what are the key areas in that sector, the key action plans that must be undertaken. Who is responsible? When must it be done? How must it be done? And what are the resources required? And where should we get those resources? So it's a very detailed plan, as I've said, Clement, without announcing the plan that I'm saying we're yet to announce. I'm just giving you an example that we are taking the issue of the economy serious, and we understand the burden that it places on the resources at our disposal. And the fact that if we don't change the economic fortunes of our province and country, we will not be able to solve unemployment, we will not be able to solve crime, we will not be able to solve poverty. So we have to succeed. And one of the things you will remember, in April this year, we had the inaugural investment conference, which raised 312 billion in pledges. In that plan, we are also accounting on how far we've gone in converting some of those pledges into actual projects and what work must be done. And that conference will be proceeding again next year. And we are working on a plan to consolidate the continent and start inviting our brothers and sisters from other parts of the country, the continent, to invest here. You have seen people like Dangote investing in African countries. And we think that if we're to focus better, we can be able to attract more of investors in the continent, but also here in the country. We've got a lot of investors, but there are certain things we must address. You correctly raised the issue of corruption, and I could sense the frustration in how you dealt with, and the disappointment, which is what all of us feel, by the way. It is discouraging. And there are things that when you look at them and you ask yourself, but will we still have a country in the next few years if things don't change drastically? What future are our kids going to inherit? And there's a lot of good guys in government, and as much as there are a lot of bad guys. And the good guys must be supported and must work hard to fight corruption, because if we don't fight corruption, we will not attract investors. We will not succeed in our endeavors. All the money that is meant for changing the lives of the people will be going into individuals.
And of course, part of dealing with that is, making sure that you change this tender system and to try and eliminate tender corruption by going digital. That's a plan that you've announced, the automation of financial system as a key anti-corruption measure. How will it, based on what you have seen, how is it going to reduce the opportunities for fraud and irregular expenditure and corruption?
It's one of the key interventions we've made, and I'm going to come to it now. I want to start by explaining that in Gauteng, we've got what we call an open tender system. And it has gone a long way in helping to reduce drastically the audit findings. And that's why when we were releasing our audit report in the last month, we were able to demonstrate and show progress in a whole range of areas, including the fact that we have more clean audits now, more better audit outcomes, but it doesn't mean the problem has disappeared. So I think I should firstly start there. And why am I giving this background is to demonstrate that we have been making efforts to fight corruption. And that's why in the open tender system, we have probity auditors. We have an open, when the adjudication is done, those who are interested, members of the public, are invited to come and observe. But now we are saying we want to minimize and ultimately eliminate human interference, because we know, Clement knew that it's people, whether who are in government, working with some in the private sector, it's people who are committing this fraud, who are committing corruption. So if we can minimize and ultimately eliminate human interference, I think we will see better outcomes. And I'm not saying it will be a panacea, and I'm not saying systems can be manipulated and all that, but at least we will have comfort that we are able to trace these activities. And that's why the AI capability of such a system becomes important. And it is for that reason that we said, no, for now we are piloting in about 5 institutions in the provincial government, including the Premier's office, including the Department of Treasury and the Department of Transport. And hopefully in the next financial year and that subsequent year, we will fully digitize and ensure that all our tenders, including, and this is important, including the three quotation system, because that's where what you see in Tembisa is the three quotation system. Highly manipulated, because people call and ask each other quotations and all that. So with the tender system, in fact, despite that there's still problems, but it's not as rotten as what you have seen on the three quotation. So this automation and digitization is not just for tenders, it's also for the three quotations. And we've started piloting in some of the departments this three quotation thing, so that you can have a system that is controlled by people. That system should be able to rotate itself for the three quotations, because you can have people who are on the government database, but they are never even receiving requests for quotations. Only same people every time receiving requests for quotations. It can't be a coincidence. It's clear that there is some manipulation there. So that's why we're saying, let's try our best to ensure that we eliminate corruption ultimately. And of course, those who are found to be committing it, they must be dealt with harshly, and there should be no negotiations about leaving people who are committing corruption, because it has gotten out of hand and it can't be allowed to continue as it has been. And I can tell you, Clement, there's even internally people who don't like that idea of digitization. And I remember when I was briefing the Premier the other day about all these other measures that we want to take and all that, and he was even saying, hey, these people are going to kill us. I said, well, if it means we must die because we have to defend, because fighting corruption is defending democracy. It's defending the hard-fought freedom by those who have died and sacrificed their lives. Because you can't say you are a freedom fighter or you are a revolutionary and yet you perpetuate and you're part of promoting corruption in the country.
Yeah, I'm going to take the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. I've got some questions coming from some of our listeners that I'll put to you after the headlines. We're speaking to Lebogang Maile, who is the Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development. We've just been touched now on the issue of corruption and how you minimize that. And part of the ways that they're trying to do it is to deal with the tender corruption by going digital. And let me know if you think this is a system that could work. Any suggestions you have, whether it's about growing the economy or trying to eliminate these elements of corruption. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. Your questions for the MEC can also come through the WhatsApp line on 072-702-1702. 10:30. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The witness set to testify before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today and tomorrow will do so anonymously. This follows an application by News 24 and Daily Maverick to oppose having the witness testimony being heard in camera. Commission Chair Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga ruled this morning that one of the evidence leaders will act as an intermediary for the witness. Parliament's inquiry into the Road Accident Fund will hear from its first witness today as it investigates maladministration at the fund. 3 people are set to testify about procurement and financial management. This is the second week of the inquiry being conducted by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, which last week focused largely on getting information about the claims process and the latest audit details. And China says it's ready to fight to the end in a trade war with the US after President Donald Trump said he would slap additional 100% tariffs on goods from the country. The move, revealed in a Friday social media post, was in response to Beijing's announcement last week of sweeping new export controls in the strategic field of rare earths currently dominated by China. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the M2 West, we've got a major accident scene after Heidelberg Road. Delays towards the Crown turn of about a 15-minute hold up there. If you're heading towards the Joburg CBD and you're traveling via the M2 West, please try to turn off at Joe Slovo Drive as well as Elof Street to try and avoid this backlog. While traveling on the Mike 1 North, some delays, really a slight backup approaching the Crown turn off due to an earlier accident. There's still that accident that was reported on the N12 West right near the R24 merge, causing delays from Edenville Road. While traveling on the N3 North, we still have got those roadworks taking place right near the Baku interchange. Delays from Vincent Chabalala Road. Do expect about a 20-minute hold up there. And if you want to avoid these delays, try using the Mike 1 North towards Sunny Hill as well as Woodmead, or even the N1 North through Four Ways and Rivonia to try and avoid these backlogs on the N3 North. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Ad hoc committee listening to Lieutenant General Sbiya. Not as dramatic, I suppose, as the utterances made by Lieutenant General Mkwanazi. This is when we need to stay our desire for the dramatic, for the entertaining, and really listen to what is being said in order for us to understand what the facts are. And then when we've listened, we must make the right decisions. We must make the decisions that aren't always popular, but we must make the decisions for the sake of this country. I think that this country is worth fighting for, folks.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Zanzi, Powerball has skyrocketed to a mind-blowing 140 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday. Play Powerball for an estimated 140 million rand today and stand a chance to win the life-changing jackpot. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Hey besties, welcome to my kitchen tour, or should I say my new walk-in wardrobe. Over here we have the pantry, now home to my jeans and shirts, all color-coded. Oh, and the air fryer, literally the perfect place for my makeup brushes. And who would have thought, the oven is the place to store my handbags.
Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
Zahira was tired. So tired, she let her eyes rest a bit. It was bad. So bad. She replaced 4 hours of spreadsheets with... It was bad. So bad. Too bad she didn't have Yoko Counter. It automatically recon sales, tracks stock, and staff performance. So good. Yoko Counter. Super simple POS and payments in one. No contracts, no hidden costs.
You might not always notice us, but your safety is our priority. From the moment you step out of your home, drop your child at school, or arrive at work, when you trust someone to cut a new set of keys or attend a packed stadium event. From VIP protection to safeguarding goods and property, your security matters to us. Choose wisely. Choose right. Only use CIRA accredited security service providers. CIRA, safer homes, safer businesses, safer communities.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, personal finance expert and co-founder of Galileo Capital, Warren Ingram, will talk to us about the right time to cancel your life assurance. On the Green Economy feature, advocate Anna-Marie van der Merwe, the executive chair of Fluid Rock Governance Group, sharing some advice about turning ESG from compliance to a competitive edge. Dr. Rotendo Windingwi, the founding director at Tribe Africa Advisory, he'll have the latest business news from around the continent. All of that and more on the next Money Show.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking, proud sponsor of the ABSA Africa Financial Markets Index 2025. The insights to guide you through Africa's financial landscapes are waiting for you. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. We're in conversation with Lebogang Maile, Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development. We have talked about the Gauteng economy and what kind of sectors they're looking at prioritizing as they look towards growing the economy in the province. We've spoken about the tender system, because to eliminate tender corruption, they're trying to go digital, because they believe that that digitizing the procurement systems and introducing AI tools will help curb fraud and some irregularities. And I see some of you have got some questions about that. So if you've got questions for the MEC, you've got some inputs, maybe thoughts on what he said, you can call on 011-883-0702. I want to give you an opportunity to engage with him too on the WhatsApp line on 072-702-1702. Let's start there.
Hi, Clement and the team. My question to the MEC is with regard to the digitization of the tender system. How strong will be your firewall? Because if your firewall will be weaker, then the system can be hacked. Yes, it's fair enough to say we are going digital, but digital also have got some ramifications. And don't you think that we need to consider the format of the tender system first? Because currently, I'm not in the construction, but I can bid to build a library in my community, despite the fact that I'm not in the construction. Or I can bid to provide some skin jeans elsewhere. So don't you think that you need to consider the format first before digital? Thanks, David.
Oh, thank you, David. Yeah, MEC, that's a really a fair question, because that's why you've got companies that end up bidding to build a whole school, even when they historically don't have any background having done that, and they start subcontracting other companies who specialize in that. So isn't it best then to change the format first?
Well, I don't think there's a problem in always looking at the implementation of any program that we're making. We always need to learn from previous lessons and improve. So if we talk about the format, for instance, if the argument is about localization, in the procurement laws, there is a provision for local participation and all that. And if the argument is about saying do away with the tender system, it's a noble idea. It sounds great, and I don't think anyone will have a problem with that. But what does it mean in reality? It means you must insource all those people. So what does that mean for the what is the payroll of government, which is already high? I mean, our Gauteng payroll is hovering around 60% and all that. So I don't think there should be anyone who must be opposed to ideas that are new and or the evaluation of the current system. I'm open to that, but we should be able to ask questions and answer those questions, and most importantly, look at the experience that we've acquired in the last 30 years, and where have we gone wrong, and how can we improve. So I don't think we should discount the digitization and say let's focus on the form. I think we can do the two simultaneously. And on the issues of firewalls and the cybersecurity issues and all that, we will have to get the experts to help us with that. And that's why we said we must pilot, and in the piloting, we will be able to identify the weaknesses before we can have a full rollout. Yeah.
Another person question says, Clement, corruption often thrives where there's weak enforcement. Maybe ask the MEC what accountability mechanisms are going to be put in place to ensure officials comply with laws, including the PFMA standards, once the automation is rolled out. So the issue here becomes, the reality is there are still some laws that must be complied with. So where does the opportunity exist there to ensure that there are accountability mechanisms in place?
The PFMA states certain principles which are non-negotiable, like transparency, fairness, competitiveness, value for money when you procure goods and services. So whatever system that you put in place has to answer those fundamental principles that are in the PFMA and in the Constitution of the Republic. But there are various mechanisms that Treasury puts in place, including instruction notes to be able to guide how departments must carry their activities. We know that we've got the AG, we've got internal audit, we've got a lot of systems that, and then that's why this is not something that you can wake up and do without consulting all these players who are important in the ecosystem, and you can't just implement without testing and looking at what are the potential risks and how do you mitigate them and all that. So we are introducing an idea here, and I'm happy that it sparks a discussion, and people are beginning to question. Okay, we hear you. Can it work? Will it not work? And how, if it works, what about this? What about that? And all that. And I think that's what we want to solicit as well from the public, to also help us on how best can we improve this system, because the public are the recipient of the service, and they know how bad or good the service is, depending on their experiences, and based on that, they should also be able to advise. But we know, being inside, that there are problems, and we have to do something about these problems. We can't just raise our hands in the air and complain about this problem. So we must do something about these problems, and that's what we are doing now.
Yeah, there are more questions coming through here. One is around the late payments to suppliers and the potential manipulation of invoices. The question is, what is your department doing about that?
We in Gauteng, we've just introduced an invoice management system. I was meeting with the team of Treasury on Friday, and they made a commitment, which I said to them, can I go in public and say this? They said, yes, you can. That in Gauteng, no one submits their invoices manually anymore. So that's the first important thing, meaning that you don't have to give Lebogang your invoice as Clement, and then Lebogang says, Clement, what are you going to give me? No, Lebogang will not even see you. You won't see Lebogang. So that's the first important thing. And it's something that we've been doing anyway for some time, but it was not fully automated. So on the invoicing system, we are fully automated now. That's the first thing. The second thing, I can tell you now without any fear of contradiction that we pay our invoices, at least 96% of our invoices, within 30 days, except for one or two departments where there are big problems, which we are working with the leadership of those departments to sort out those issues. And the challenges that have to do with accruals in those departments, challenges that have to do with the baseline of those departments, and I'm referring here to Department of Health, because you'll ask Clement, health and infrastructure. But in all the other departments, when you combine, we pay more than our invoices more than. And by the way, I must hasten to add that there's been improvement. In fact, I've been contemplating to even issue our third quarter financials for the public now, because we've been doing it annually. So I'm thinking that perhaps we should do it quarterly, so that, and in that report will also show how we pay invoices, how many, because we are also not only looking at 30 days, we have also imposed 15 and 10 days on ourselves. So we monitor that as well. So if I was to release the financials, the second quarter financials, I'll be able to give you a breakdown per department because ultimately we want to get to a point where we pay invoices in 10 days in Gauteng. That's why we said the law says 30 days, but let's start and see if we can do it in 15 days.
Okay.
We can do it in 10 days. And in fact, it is done in a lot of areas, and there's been some improvement in this quarter from the Department of Health as well.
Yeah, all right. Semi in Pretoria, I'll start with your call after the break. It's 13 minutes before 11.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Imagine you're invited to the dressing room. You've got to motivate the boys. What would you tell them?
I'll tell the Bafana team that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that the Springboks are doing absolutely well. We as South Africans are winners. You cannot lose. We are being watched and they want us to lose, so we have to win. Be hungry, boys. We're behind you and God bless you. We are Bafana. Bafana is us.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Panthers Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crush prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
Breathe in. Insurance. Breathe out. Pineapple. In. Insurance. Breathe out. Pineapple. Again. In. Insurance. Out. Pineapple. Again. And again.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
11 minutes before 11 o'clock. Okay, let's run through some of your questions so that the MEC can respond to them before we wrap up the conversation. One message on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, the MEC is talking about tourism. This is actually the sleeping giant for employment. However, because of crime, we're not reaching our full potential. Tourism buses have previously been attacked, and I've never had any priority protection plan on such issues. That's a message from Malta in Sunnyside. Semi, you are in Pretoria. What's your question or input? Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Clement. Clement, I hear the MEC that says that they're going to implement artificial intelligence and automation to make sure that the tender system goes smoothly with corruption, right? But then, artificial intelligence and automation are not a new thing. They've been around for more than 40 years. Now, if they know that these things are going to combat corruption, they've been in government for more than 30 years. Why haven't they implemented these things? And the second question is this: those artificial intelligence systems and AI, they need to be built by someone. Who's going to build them? Is there going to be a tender to build those systems? And how are they going to make sure that the tender is not being corrupted?
All right, thank you for that question. Those two questions, Semi. I'll get the MEC to respond to them in a moment. Here are some WhatsApps as well that have come through.
Hi, team. My question is to data level: is which AI tool specifically are they going to use, and what is it going to check for specifically in order to combat corruption? That's what I need to find out, because it's just AI tools. Which AI tools specifically?
Hi, Clement.
this thing of tender system is like to boost one another. I think it's better if we don't have tender system. The government must hire people straight, and then we know that our government are creating jobs, not what they are doing. What they are doing is wrong. Of tendering system that make only one person rich, and then the others are poor. But they are working to that other person. No, it's better they can sell everything. It's accordingly tender system is wrong. Thank you.
All right, MEC, a question from Semi, the two questions about why now and is there going to be a tender for this infrastructure to be built? And the second question was around how are these AI tools going to combat corruption and which AI tools specifically? And that's related to a question I got around what exactly are you automating here? Is it like calling for quotes or adjudication? Because also the requests for quotations are not drafted by sometimes qualified individuals. Like the evaluation committee is often comprised of internal employees who really don't know much about construction. For instance, to use that construction example, that's another question that's come through. How do you plan to mitigate this risk?
Yeah, no, thanks for the questions. When you asked me a question, you'll remember I started by giving context on the open tender system. And I did explain that we're not starting now to fight corruption. And I did explain that there has been some progress in dealing with issues of audit findings, and there's been improvements. Even the number of clean audits, I dealt with that, and I said that it doesn't mean that the problem has disappeared, and hence we must always find new ways of dealing with the problem and making sure that we eliminate completely. And I deliberately use the words minimize and ultimately eliminate, because it's going to be gradual. It's a complex matter which has to be treated with the seriousness that it deserves, because these are public resources, and this is about the lives of people, especially the poorest of the poor. It's about the future of our country. So I dealt with that issue that way when I started, because I anticipated, correctly so, that someone will ask, why only now? What have you been doing all along? So there's a lot that we have been doing all along, and this is and you will remember you also said this as a main, and I said one of the initiatives. So in how I crafted my answers, I was clear and deliberate, because the narrative shouldn't be that we're only starting now. We're not. We have been starting. We have long started, and we have seen results in certain areas. And I even went on to the issue of the quotations and all that, to say we don't just want to do the tender, we also want to do the quotations. As to who will do this and all that, for now, we have appointed the Gauteng Management Agency, which is the entity of the provincial government, that has been using this system for about 4 or 5 years, to look at how they can help us and how they can fast track this process. So there is no tender, as far as I know, on this system. The GMA is doing it for us. And I want to agree with the caller who was talking about tourism. And that's why in the economic plan, one of the things we would be talking about, it's the fighting crime. We've got a 10-point plan, which has been there. on fighting crime. So it's there in the economic plan. That's what I was saying to you, Clement. Perhaps I will have to come back and talk about it in detail because it's broad. It covers a whole range of issues, and including what must happen in every sector. And it's very, very comprehensive. We even have to do an economic modeling that shows if we're to attract so many billions, how much does it mean? I mean, how much do we need to invest? How will that impact on economic growth and all that? What are the dependencies? And so it's not a thumbsucked document. We had to consult with the private sector. We had to consult with the academia and all that. And that's why it took us this long. And we even agreed that it's a living document. It's not a casting stone. As we implement, we will be learning, but also improving on how best we can change the structure and the status quo.
All right. One person, it's Tipani on the WhatsApp line, says, Clement, the problem sometimes when you listen to politicians is that they want to take advantage of people's outrage by creating an opportunity to steal. So there's an issue of trust there. Another person also on Twitter says, Clement, how are we supposed to take the politicians seriously when they decry corruption and yet we still see them hanging out and fraternizing with the same people who are exploiting the tender system like Edwin Sodi? Please ask Lebogang Maile how are we supposed to trust them when that is happening. Yes, Emisi?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. You see, we must not just, and I know people like making accusations, and it's easy to soil people's images and characters. So if there's anyone, for instance, Lebogang, who is working with criminals, call him out, get him arrested. We have seen people are being arrested as we speak in the country. And I know, there's people who might be having historic relations. And if I have a historic relation or a childhood relation with someone and they commit crime, I can't defend those people. I can't be associated with them, but I can't be blamed for knowing that person. That's something else. But if you say I aid someone to commit corruption, I aid someone to steal public money, that's different. I have to be arrested and or I have to even be removed. So we shouldn't be just throwing mud easily at people. I mean, I've been a victim of this, and I know it, where people spoke about Alex Mafia at some point and all. I don't even know what is that. I've never been part of it and all that, So my conscience is clear, and I know very well that I will never aid anyone to commit crime. I will never aid anyone to steal government money. And if I was to be accused of anything, whatever, I will not even wait for anyone to tell me that I must leave. So I don't think it's right that we just it's easy to soil someone's name.
All right, Lebogang Maile, we've got to leave it there because I'm completely out of time. But thank you so much for making time for us. I really appreciate it. That's the MEC for Finance and Economic Development in Gauteng.
Change will give you blisters. You can wear it in, or it can wear you down. It's exhausting, uncomfortable, pushy. Change is work. Change is motivating. Change is ambitious. Change is the finish line that always moves. Change is opportunity. We're ready to chase it. For over 3 decades, we have been committed to seeking out the best investment opportunities for you, wherever they may be. 91. Investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring Izinga Assist. Their CEO and founder, Derek Lubna, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Stamina Grow is a 5-in-1 supplement with amino acids, antioxidants, B vitamins, and other essential vitamins and minerals. Stamina Grow helps promote energy, well-being, immune defense, and mental vitality. Stamina Grow, 22 years of supporting Mzansi. Ranked amongst the top 5 best-performing multivitamin brands in SA. Stamina Grow. Grow for it.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Witness X is currently testifying remotely at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry with their identity concealed for safety. The witness is picking up where Crime Intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo left off, unpacking WhatsApp messages between attempted murder accused Vusmuzi Kat Matlala and several prominent figures. The witness has started by outlining texts between Matlala and KZN Hawks boss Lisecha Sinona, who is alleged to have vested interest in protecting Matlala due to his business dealings with his son Tato Sinona. The witness is answering questions through one of the evidence leaders, Advocate Tabang Boe, who is repeating their answers.
Major General Sinona has a close and beneficial relationship with an alleged criminal. And you will also see the close relationship that Mr. Matlala has with the General's son.
In Parliament, suspended Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia has denied any involvement in criminal activity. Sibia says he also doesn't have the time to have meetings with drug lords and crime kingpins with his heavy workload and travelling. Sibia was pleading his case yesterday before Parliament's ad hoc committee probing police corruption and interference. The suspended head of crime detection has been accused of corruption and having links to criminal underworld by the KZN Provincial Commissioner Kwanazi. He says he was taken by surprise when National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola said he believes the allegations.
I'm every day with the National Commissioner or with the Minister. I'm all over throughout the country. I don't have time to go to meet some drug lords somewhere and start engaging in the operations such as those. So I'm just saying that I don't commit crime. I'm not involved in crime.
Parliament's inquiry into the Road Accident Fund will hear from its first witness today as it investigates maladministration. 3 people are set to testify about procurement and financial management. This is the second week of the inquiry being conducted by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, which last week largely focused on getting information about the claims process and the latest audit details. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
It's not yet clear whether today's witnesses are former or current employees of the fund, but the 3 are set to provide insight about procurement matters. On Friday, the Special Investigating Unit laid bare some of the irregular processes at the fund, which it's been investigating over the last 5 years. The SIU says past board members have been found wanting in executing their fiduciary duties, including the disbandment of the RAF's panel of attorneys. This week, the inquiry is set to focus on the awarding of contracts for the panel of attorneys, medical experts, media and marketing services, as well as security services. On Friday, the committee is also set to hear from the Law Society. The committee has indicated it intends to call former RAF board members to explain their role in a number of the instances, including a legal challenge against the Auditor General on its accounting standards. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And China says it's ready to fight to the end in a trade war with the US after President Donald Trump said he would slap additional 100% tariffs on goods from the country. The move, revealed in a Friday social media post, was in response to Beijing's announcement last week of sweeping new export controls in the strategic field of rare earths, currently dominated by China. Trump also announced in the post that Washington will impose export controls on any and all critical software from next month. The latest escalation has rattled markets and called into question a potential upcoming meeting with Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in South Korea. Gold is trading at $4,127.16 an ounce. The rand is at 17.39 to the dollar, 23.21 to the pound, 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.29 a barrel.
Traffic is heavily backed up on the
N1 North between Malibongo Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive due to roadworks between these 2 points, and they're causing about a 20-minute hold-up. Please try to avoid while traveling on the M2 West, queuing traffic between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. This is due to an earlier accident.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 28 and 31 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Witness X is currently testifying remotely at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry with their identity concealed for their safety.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes up to 11 o'clock. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thanks for staying with us here on 702. Time for our World of Work feature.
702.
World of Work.
You know how important entrepreneurship is when we talk about growing the economy, when we talk about creating job opportunities for people. So today, we're discussing sourcing and accessing grants for small businesses, because these businesses play quite a critical role, again, in growing our economy and creating jobs. And we are often told of how much passion you need. You need ideas. You need determination as an entrepreneur, because that's what drives you. But the reality is that without access to financial support, even the most promising ventures are going to struggle. So on our World of Work feature today, I want us to look at what the process of sourcing and accessing grants actually looks like. There's other businesses out there that don't even know where, as a small business, they can begin. And they don't even know what do funders really look for when they're deciding who gets the money. So to help us unpack this, we're joined by Dagmar Brailing, who's the CEO of Fundraising Connection. She's a fundraising expert as well, and she's going to walk us through the ins and outs of identifying the right grants. But I think we also need to teach other entrepreneurs about crafting compelling applications as they try and require these funds, and how they can navigate this complex world of small business funding. So if you're a small business owner yourself and you have struggled with trying to access funding, or with trying to craft compelling applications, maybe call us and ask my guests some questions, and maybe they'll be able to give you some tips on how to start positioning yourself, how to start crafting and going about those applications. You can call us on 011-883-0702. I want to get your thoughts as well, or experiences on just your interactions with these organizations that offer these grants. How has that been for you? Have you won? Did it mean you have to know someone there? Please share your experience with us on the WhatsApp line as well, on 072-702-1702. Dagmar, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thanks very much for having me.
Let's start with the basics. When we talk about the small business grants, what are they and how do they differ from your ordinary loans or other forms of financial support?
Okay, so the difference between grants and loans is that you don't need to repay the grants, and loans you will need to repay. As soon as you need to go a little bit higher with your investment amount, in most cases there are not 100% grants available. It will be a mixture. And as a business consultant, I'm always telling also my clients, this is a business. You need to earn money with it. If you are not able to repay a loan, there may be a problem in the first place. We are not talking about really small little, 50, 100,000 rand start-up money. That then is when it goes above 500,000 rand, where we just then, that's my view on it. The most important part for everybody who wants to start a business is just having a look at your skills. So you need to have the skills to be able to do whatever you promise to do. Okay, so it just needs to make sense, and that is already a big hurdle for lots of people because we don't know what we are doing well. And we usually, for us, it's easy, and then we don't understand that somebody else would be willing to pay money for it. So for me, sorry, go on, yes?
Sorry, I wanted to say, because some entrepreneurs will often say, I'm struggling with finding the right grant, and that seems to be, part of the challenge here. So I wanted to know what are some of, I suppose, the most effective ways that these small business owners can identify funding opportunities that align with their goals. I mean, we've got so many agencies, whether you talk about the DTIC, the DSBD, the CIP, there's the NEF, DBSA, IDC, NYD. I can go on and on and on.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'd just like to start from the beginning. You're not able to raise even any grants if your business setup doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The first step.
Oh, Dagmar, the line is not so good. I'm putting you back to the producers. We're going to try and re-establish that line. It's not so good, and I really want you to hear what Dagmar has to say. Tell you what, I think let's take a quick ad break. When we come back, hopefully we'll have her on a different line, but also we'll start also taking your own experiences or your questions as well. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
What do you reckon is the scale of this? Investigations and matters under review don't always give you a sense of how big the problem is. It may just give you a sense of which parts of the problem they're actually dealing with right now.
There was a shootout at a nightclub in Sandton not so long ago. It was a shootout between two rival security companies, and one of the people killed was actually the head of the so-called security company through proxies, and he himself was a person of interest in the assassination of Marumo Pena, the well-known whistleblower on the Department of Home Affairs.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Mzansi, Powerball has skyrocketed to a mind-blowing 140 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday. So play Powerball for an estimated 140 million rand today and stand a chance to win the life-changing jackpot. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity, a steady rhythm and pattern. Patients attended to on time. Medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders. We go there.
Phishing, quishing, smishing, so many ishings. Aibo, scammers are doing the most these days. From dodgy SMSs to fake QR codes, hacked WhatsApps and calls asking for your PIN. If it ends in ishing, stay alert. It's probably ishing your money. Scams can happen anywhere. And if unsure, contact ABSA on 0860 557 557. Protect your money. Protect your story. ABSA. Your story matters. An authorized financial services provider.
Hey besties, welcome to my kitchen tour, or should I say my new walk-in wardrobe. Over here we have the pantry, now home to my jeans and shirts, all color-coded. Oh, and the air fryer, literally the perfect place for my makeup brushes. And who would have thought, the oven is the place to store my handbags.
Who needs a kitchen?
Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
He's the boss, the legend, the man whose music defined generations. Now, his story hits cinemas in Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, from 24 October. And 702 is giving you the chance to win big this week. We're celebrating the icon with 2 truths and a lie. 3 facts about Bruce. One's not quite true. WhatsApp the keyword Springsteen ZA to 0702 702 1702 and we could call you to play every day next week. Spot the line and win 2,000 Rand cash, exclusive pre-screening tickets and a shot at a collector's vinyl package every fan will envy. T season more on primemediaplus.com. Only on 702.
702.
World of Work.
17 minutes after 11 o'clock, we've got Dagmar Brailing on a separate line now. Dagmar, you can go ahead and respond to the question I had asked about finding, the right grant. What are some of those effective ways that small businesses can identify those funding opportunities that align with their goals and their businesses?
Okay, so the first thing is what I started already mentioning is you need to be good at what you're doing. Okay, so and one of the big problems for most people is because it's so easy for them, they don't understand that other people may need help and support with whatever they can do. So I'm good with numbers. I have no idea how anybody can have any problems with this. So for me, financial forecast is something I can do while I'm sleeping. So, and I did not see that as a specific skill because I thought everybody else can do that. So number 1 is think about what you're really good at. Number 2 is most of us entrepreneurs, we love what we are doing and there's nothing wrong with it. But you need to think about a strong business model. So don't, I had a discussion last week with a young lady who wanted to sell ice cream and we did some calculations and the business did not make any sense. And I said, you need to increase your prices. She said, well, but the ice cream is for the kids and I don't want to charge too much. I said, yes, I understand this, but this is a business. You need to earn money to be able to pay all your expenses and later on, hopefully also hire some more people and you need to be able to pay them additionally to your own salary. So this is what lots of entrepreneurs, specifically in the beginning, don't really think about it. And it makes no sense to just, oh, yes, I figured it out. I just need 50,000 Rand to start. This money will not help you if you are not clear about what you want, how you want your business to earn money. Profit margins need to be high enough. Lots of startup entrepreneurs underestimate the task of selling their services or their products. There's nobody knocking on your door only because you opened a business. You need to be clear about your marketing and your sales strategy, even as a small, if you want to open a coffee shop or if you want to open a small little bakery in the beginning. And so this is one thing why it's later on also difficult to raise the grants, because the financiers, of course, also understand that the strong business model is the foundation for successful business.
Okay. So when reviewing the applications, what are some of the key things that the funders or grant committees typically look for so that we able to help the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, know how they need to start crafting their applications for funding?
Yes. Okay. So strong your expertise. Okay. Number 2, how much money do you need? Number three, for what exactly? You don't say I need I think 50,000 rand. I'm not 100% sure. And I want to buy a brick making machine, and the funder knows already the brick making machine, the smallest, I don't know the prices. Okay, so I'm just thumb sucking here, is 59,000 rand. So they see already somebody didn't do the research. So make sure you know exactly for what you need the money, how much money you need, who will be your clients or your target market. Do they have the money to be able to pay for it? Lots of times people say, oh, yes, I want to, let's say, develop an app. Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. Everybody will download it and they pay me five rand per month for it. But if people don't see really the benefits, they would love to have the app, but they are not willing to pay for it. And that is also something what lots of startup entrepreneurs are not really thinking through.
Okay. And what are some of the mistakes that these businesses often make when they're applying for grants? So do you, because you've mentioned some of them that, some will say we need this, but have you actually done research to look at whether that's what you need to buy whatever equipment or to start off your enterprise?
Yes.
What do you think needs to be done to avoid the same mistakes happening again?
So number one, the challenge is, okay, specifically if you haven't been self-employed before, honestly, you don't know what you don't know. So it is like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to start something. Hey, and that's great. Please, please, please do not misunderstand me. Every economy, the backbone of every economy are the SMMEs. Okay, so all of us here are the backbone here, also in South Africa. So, and you just need to try to really think your business idea through. And there are lots of business plan templates available. And I remember also when I've done my first business plan, I did not understand what they wanted from me. I thought they are asking me all the same things again and again and again. It was just from different angles what they wanted to have the information. So I know there are lots of NYDA has some grants available, and they will also assist with some mentorship. CEDA is now went together with CFA, is called now CEDFA, has some grants available specifically for smaller investments for business. I think they have, don't hold me for it. Are you still there?
Yeah, we're listening.
Okay, because out of a sudden some of the pictures went away. Sorry. Okay, thanks. So so CEDFA also has some funds available for entrepreneurs. All of them are usually also offering some business courses and mentorship just to guide you there. This is it's a rocky road. Okay, I'm not saying it's not worth it. You are always faced in the beginning, definitely with daily challenges, later on, maybe with weekly and monthly challenges. But there will be a time when you understand whatever life throws at me, I will be able to solve that issue.
There's often talk about.
In the beginning, it's just exhausting.
Yeah. We often talk about the need to build relationships with the funders. What does that actually look like in practical terms? How can small businesses nurture those connections?
So I know definitely from CEDA, I think NYDA is similar, that they will only deal with people they come to their offices. So, and then build some relationships with the employees, with the manager and the consultant who is assisting you. listen to them, you know. So there's two parts of it. On one side, they of course also, these are government employees, okay, so they have their rules and regulations, and you need as an entrepreneur make sure that you fit into these requirements. And on the other side, also, don't be afraid to ask some questions to understand why they want to do things like this, why they want to have specific documentations from you. Lots of times, the people we are talking with on our social media, they are complaining about all the compliance, what a business needs to have. That's just part of the game. Is this fun? No. Okay, this admin is definitely no fun. It's just part of it. And South Africans' rules and regulations are definitely easier to be managed than I'm from Germany originally, than the German rules and regulations. So that is really hectic.
Okay.
So just always, that's what I need to do. Is it fun? No, but you need to do it.
Yeah. And beyond grants, are there other creative, maybe overlooked funding avenues that small businesses should be exploring?
Okay, so although you know I'm from Funding Connection, and we assist entrepreneurs to raise capital, and we do that through lots of advisory, business plans, and the application support. And that is how we earn our money with. I'm always, in most cases, I think entrepreneurs can start their business without too much money up front. As soon as you, let's say remember the one lady I mentioned, she wanted to produce ice cream. Why don't you partner with somebody who has an ice cream machine? You know, so, and then just say, okay, so then, but keep in mind, you also need to add value then to this partnership. You just can't say, oh, you are doing the ice cream for me, you are doing the sales for me, and I want 50% of everything. That's not working, you know? So you need then to say, okay, you are doing the ice cream for me. Maybe they are also investing the money in the raw material. I'm going out and making the sales.
Okay. So something to think about there. There's a quick question here. I don't know if you're able to answer it, but we've got someone who says, hi, Clement. I'm listening from Mozambique, and I've got a quick question. What is considered to be a good profit margin for someone who is starting out with their business?
Okay, so profit margins are different to different industries. If you think about a consulting firm, the profit margins are quite high. Specifically in the beginning, one woman show, most of your income is poor profit. Yeah. But if you are thinking about now a manufacturer who is manufacturing the ice cream, they have also it's called cost of sales for the raw material. And for manufacturers, in general, the gross profit margin should be minimum 30% to be able really to pay for everything. And then, but yes, you always need to think about the profits is always in your number one, in your cost of sales, and of course in your markup you can do, and how you position yourself, your product or services, and what are your competitors doing. So that is then always, that's a discussion about how to set your price.
Okay. Dagmar Brayling, CEO of Fundraising Connection, thank you so much for making time for us. It's exactly 11:30. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Witness X is currently testifying remotely at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry with the identity concealed for their safety. The witness is picking up where crime intelligence boss Dumsane Khumalo left off, unpacking WhatsApp messages between attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Kat Matlala and several prominent figures. The witness has started by outlining messages between Matlala and KZN Hawks boss Lesija Sinona. At the same time, suspended Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya says there was never an objection to disbanding the political killings task team before the police minister. Sibiya says his boss, Fani Masemola, never wrote to him to stand back while the matter was being reviewed. He made the comments while answering questions in Parliament today from the ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption. And the family of a LEAP officer who was hijacked and killed in Philippi in Cape Town says they are devastated by his death. Pagate was stabbed during a hijacking in Marikana informal settlement on Sunday and later succumbed to his injuries. 3 suspects arrested for the murder of Yonke Pagate made a brief appearance in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, in Kelvin, we still have got those roadworks on the N3 North right near the Baklu interchange. Delays coming out of Vincent Chabalala Road. Remember, if you want to avoid these roadworks, try using the M1 North towards areas like Sunny Hill as well as Woodmead. Traveling in Sharon Lee, we've got an accident reported on the N1 North. It's right near Winnie Mandela Drive, causing delays from Malibongwe Drive, about a 20-minute hold up there. There's also queuing traffic reported on the M2 West approaching the Crown turn off. More roadworks are happening along this route, so please be patient. While traveling on the Mark 1 North, delays towards the Crown interchange. In the city of Tshwane, we've got some delays reported on the N1 South coming out of the Flying Saucer interchange, and that's due to roadworks that are taking place along that route. That's your last EWN traffic from me, Amo Ramela. Otherwise, Karabujali will continue walking the talk with you on the traffic desk. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Ad hoc committee listening to Lieutenant General Sibiya. Not as dramatic, I suppose, as the utterances made by Lieutenant General Mkwanazi. This is when we need to stay our desire for the dramatic, for the entertaining, and really listen to what is being said in order for us to understand what the facts are. And then when we've listened, we must make the right decisions. We must make the decisions that aren't always popular, but we must make the decisions for the sake of this country. I think that this country is worth fighting for, folks.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Saving on your business insurance should not mean sacrificing cover. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your premium for medical specialities like dental, physiotherapy, surgical and other industries. Outsurance Business Insurance are trusted experts in insuring your business. Get more out of your business insurance. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed, insured and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
The motor racing event Cape Town has been waiting for is finally here. Get ready for the Speed Classic Cape Town. Over 140 historic cars, race cars and supercars will compete in a full throttle showcase of motion, sound and style. Experience the ultimate speed test as the legends of yesterday meet the icons of tomorrow. The Speed Classic Cape Town takes place on Philip Khosana Drive on October 25th and 26th. Get your tickets at Web Tickets today.
If this ad caught your ear, imagine what Prime Media can do for your business. With South Africa's leading media company, your message reaches the right audiences across radio, digital audio, video, and display. The Prime Impact Sales Event is coming to Joburg 3 to 7 November and Cape Town 10 to 13 November. Register today for a free demo commercial, a custom campaign, and unbeatable annual partnerships. Seats are limited. Secure yours now at primeimpact.co.za.
In fitness, as in finance, endurance is key. If you're 55 and older, you can get an interest rate of up to 10.47% with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Now feel the earn. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. For more info, visit netbank.co.za.
In a world shaped by those who build, disrupt, and reimagine, there comes a gathering not just of minds, but of futures. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank, is where top entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers converge. It's where the future of enterprise is redefined. On 5 and 6 November, you could be there. Stand a chance to win tickets to the South African Future Trust Summit on 702. WhatsApp the keyword SAFT with your name and ID number, telling us how you would benefit from attending the summit to 072-702-1702. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa to find out if you're a winner. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank. Your summit, your way, on 702. TCs and more on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
702.
Health and wellness.
It's 24 minutes now before 12 o'clock. On our health and wellness feature today, we're discussing kids' wellness. What does it really mean to nurture your child physically, mentally, just giving them emotional support too? Because these are the elements that are deeply connected to their growth, to the confidence that they have, and just generally long-term success. So from how children learn and form friendships to how they handle challenges and experience joy, kids' well-being plays a very central role in shaping who they become. So as a parent or caregiver, I'd like to know how you have prioritized your children's well-being. How do you balance nutrition, play, emotional support, all the things that you balance to make sure you're raising happy and resilient children? We've invited this morning Professor Claudia Gray, who is a pediatrician and allergy specialist. She's an associate professor of pediatrics at the University of Cape Town, who will be guiding us through this conversation. But I'd like to hear from you as well on 011-883-0702. How do you approach the issue of wellness when it comes to your children? The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Professor Gray, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thanks very much for the invitation.
When we talk about kids' wellness, what are we talking about? It encompasses so many things, doesn't it?
It encompasses so many things. And you actually did a wonderful introduction there, Clement, outlining all the different bits that belong in this wheel of wellness. We mustn't forget that wellness has many facets, and the one facet is physical well-being, so how physically well is a kid, and that includes things like nutrition and sleep. And then we need to also think about emotional well-being. How resilient are they? Are they coping? Are they getting enough love? Are they getting enough attention? There are two other parts of wellness, the social wellness as well. Is there good community? Is there safety? Have they learned social skills? Resilience is part of that. And lastly, cognitive health. Are they cognitively stimulated enough in terms of school readiness, etc.? So all of these form part of wellness.
Okay, so what do parents need to do to ensure that they are nurturing this physical, emotional, social, and cognitive wellness?
So once again, that's a huge field because you kind of almost need to look at each of them separately, although they do integrate. In other words, wellness in one sphere will influence wellness in the other sphere. For example, a child who's undernourished because of poverty won't do well physically because of their growth, but probably emotionally they also might be stunted, or developmentally they also may be stunted. So they do all interact with each other. There's so much to talk about here, but one thing to realize is that medicine is very much moving from reactive, just reacting to diseases and conditions, to proactive, and that's in adults and kids alike. And proactive really is promoting wellness in the many spheres from a young age. We always know that the brain grows so rapidly in the first 3 years of life. It grows from a tiny little acorn to this, at 90% of adult size by the age of 3. So those are the 3 years in which we can make such a difference to the neurons and to the brain and to the development in all different spheres of a child's life. And we also now know, I think it's very classic that people know, okay, if a child's been through stress, it might affect their long-term emotional development. But we also forget the physical things. Physical conditions, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, they're a series of events that begin in childhood. And that's quite scary because we often think, well, kids can just eat and drink whatever they want. So I think it's almost worth packing this separately into physical wellness and emotional wellness and talking about each separately.
Yeah, let's do that because I think, I would argue that some parents or most focus a lot on that physical wellness and not so much on the emotional part of that wellness. So what do parents then need to do to ensure that there's a greater focus on emotional wellness? Some parents were already sharing how, every day after school, they sit down and they want to give an opportunity to their children to just tell them about the day. How was it? What irritated them? What did they love about it? And in that, they find opportunities to sort of deal with whatever troubled them, just to open up a space for them to know that there's someone you can talk to. But are there other ways that parents need to be aware of so that they focus on that emotional wellness for their children?
Absolutely, because physical wellness is so much easier to see and to measure, but emotional wellness is harder. I've got a couple of basic tips on healthy emotional development, if you'll allow me to, and then a couple of tips on resilience. So resilience means you're strong enough to bounce back. It doesn't mean nothing bad's ever going to happen. Everyone's going to have bad things, but how you bounce back is important. So if we talk about emotional development, just as your listener has said, that one-on-one time where you can just talk freely without an agenda, following the child's agenda, what the child wants, not what you want, for 10 to 15 minutes a day is absolutely vital. It doesn't need much more time than that. But if you can have one-on-one unstructured time with your child for 10 to 15 minutes a day, that's a very vital part of healthy emotional development. You can always put it in your calendar. Other things to remember, which, as a parent myself, 4 children, sometimes hard, but your child is not an extension of you. So don't expect them to necessarily fit into the mold of what you want. You need to let them also be their own person. And as a parent, you have to be warm but firm and consistent. I also think that we need to teach our little kids, and nowadays with so much screen time and social media that they just want this instant gratification, they're almost scared of failing because everything comes so fast and easily. If you're searching a term, it comes immediately from ChatGPT. But I think we need to teach this generation to be challenged a bit. The fear of failure is quite stunting. Failure is good as long as you fail forward and use it. So in that respect, your kids need to be challenged a bit. So it's so easy to jump in and immediately do things for them because it's quicker and more efficient if we do it. But actually, I always say, let them struggle before the snuggle. So let them struggle a bit before you jump in. Healthy emotional development also is teaching a kid to do things for reasons they value, not because everyone else is doing. And that means you have to build them up to know they're their own person. They have a God-given purpose. They don't need to be sheep and follow everyone else like it's so trendy with influencers, etc. And don't dismiss. If your child says something, the worst thing you can do is to say, oh, don't be stupid or don't be silly. That's not going to happen. Take what they say seriously. So with your listener who sits in the car with their child for those 10 minutes after school, and that often is a good time when you're driving and in a confined space or when you're walking together, then listen to what the child says and don't say, oh, don't be silly, that's nothing. Take it seriously and say, oh, how did that make you feel? Those are just but remember also for emotional development, we also need physical wellness. So we need to eat well and sleep well and look at screen time, eat a meal together a day. So there's so much to healthy emotional development, Clement.
Yeah, and speaking of that screen time, I mean, you spoke of, social wellness, cognitive wellness, and in this digital age, parents are really struggling to balance screen time with physical activity. I mean, sometimes you go to a dinner and you just see parents are having a conversation and they've just given their child or children iPads. And the children are on their iPads. They eat a little bit and then they're constantly on their iPads while the parents are interacting. So how do you advise parents to deal with the issue of screen time? Because that's quite a contentious one.
It is, and it's a universal issue. And not only are we the generation that, like an unprecedented time that we are parenting in the generation of screen time, but remember these children are also growing up in the era of screen time. So it's also hard for them, not just hard for us. So I think it's important to realize screen time is part of our lives. AI is part of our lives, but it's how we structure it that's important. And I think having certain family rules that you sit down and you discuss with your child and you stick to them consistently. How many hours a day of screen time are you allowed? Have some basic parameters such as nothing for 1 hour before bedtime. Absolutely no screen time while you're sitting at a meal table. Only get screen time sort of once your jobs are done and once you've done exercise. And what I've realized recently is also the importance of teaching your child the signs of when they've had enough. And sometimes when they've realized, oh, flip, that's a sign that I've overdone it with screen time and my body's almost wanting this addiction and wanting more and more. For example, if they get angry when you tell them to come off a screen and they're really thrashing around, you know that they've overstepped their window, and then adjust their screen time window accordingly. And when a child understands, flip, I do feel angry, that means I've had too much screen time. Sometimes it's easier to devise a plan together with them. With screen time, also remember things like social media can be absolutely damaging to our teens. So do make sure you don't introduce that too early. I mean, on a worldwide level, 16 is now the age punted for social media. But we have kids of 9, 10, 11 on social media. So they're not ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, it's 13 minutes now before 12 o'clock.
702.
Health and wellness.
I want to go through some of the questions coming from some of our listeners. You can call us, remember, on 011-883-0702 if you have questions around kids' wellness. How are you ensuring that there's physical wellness, there's emotional wellness, social wellness, cognitive wellness? What are you balancing and managing as a parent, as perhaps a caregiver? You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. There's a question about sleep here, Professor Gray. How important is sleep for a child's wellness? And what are the recommended sleep hours, for especially toddlers and preschoolers?
Sure. So, the importance of sleep. I'm a doctor, so when I was a house officer, we sometimes had to do 24-hour shifts without sleep. And it's physical torture, isn't it? So we can do without food for a few days. We can do without water for a few days, but we cannot do without sleep. We actually would go mad. And that just shows how important sleep is for our well-being. It allows you to rest. It allows you to reset memories. It allows you to regenerate and recuperate. And, we know how we are when we haven't slept enough. We're irritable. And kids are the same. And it's actually the rule of thumb is if they're in every hour that they are short of sleep, Clement, they behave 1 year younger. So if you have a 4-year-old who's had a sleepless night and they haven't had enough sleep and they're an hour short or 2 hours short, they'll behave like a 2-year-old. And we see that even with our teenagers. If they've been partying too hard and they haven't had enough sleep, they behave like children the next day. So that's just a rule of thumb, just going to show how important sleep is. So sleep is absolutely non-negotiable. And even for adults, it's one of our 4 main pillars of health: exercise, diet, sleep, and emotional regulation. So it's non-negotiable. And you'll see that because a newborn baby sleeps most of the time, 16 hours a day. They need that to grow and regenerate and develop their brains. So you're talking about toddler sleep requirements, 12 to 14 hours per 24 hours. So that's the nighttime sleep plus their daytime sleeps. So a young toddler of 12 months would still have 2 daytime sleeps and then their nighttime sleep, and you add those all together. So some kids are on a 14-hour side. My kids tended to be more on the 12-hour side. So everyone's different. Then as they get older, that window gets smaller and smaller. So a preschooler would be 11 to 13 hours per 24 hours. A school-going child, 10 to 12 hours of sleep. They no longer have a daytime nap, so that all has to happen at night. And then a teenager, ideally 9 to 11 hours, and a healthy adult, then 7 to 9 hours a night. So it varies with age.
Okay. Here's a WhatsApp voice note.
Good morning, Clement, and your guest, Kingsley from Germiston. I've worked with children of all ages probably for about 15 years now. And for me, the starting point in the work that I do has always been to create a safe and secure space that allows children to express themselves and to be both seen and heard. And in doing that, it becomes critical for you to be able to connect with the child on a deeper emotional level in order to establish trust. And once you've got those things in place, along with boundaries and a healthy level of discipline and mutual respect, you can really get a child to flourish. But you cannot do that without establishing that trust and that deeper emotional connection.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What a beautiful voice note. And if I may just add,
Yes, please.
this is so important at all ages. So if you look at your newborn baby in the first 3 months of life, it's all about connection. It's all about attachment. You can't spoil those babies. If they cry, they're communicating. You have to respond to it. You can't leave a young baby to cry, because that builds distrust. So it's all about building trust and attachment and bonding. Whatever you do, respond to bond. And then as the child gets older, for example, a teenager, you will clash a lot, but choose connection before correction. They're not going to listen to you if they don't feel safe with you, as your listener so rightly said. So always choose connection above everything else, as long as it's within the realm of safety.
And then someone else says, Clement, I've tried on physical wellness, I've tried to get the kids sometimes to join me when I do my walks, sometimes when I run, but I'm really struggling. They're not interested and always want to play, so they always feel like I'm punishing them when I force them to be active and take walks. So how else do you get children to participate in ensuring this physical wellness?
Well, physical wellness is such a vital part of childhood, and it's such a vital antidote to screen time. Young kids are meant to have an hour of structured play, even adults supervised. When the listener talks about the child wants to play, if it's active play, that's fine. So if they're running around in the garden and playing 1, 2, 3 block and kicking the soccer ball, that's exercise. That's great. But if it's just sitting on screens, then you need to actually just set the boundaries and say you can have an hour of screen time and then half an hour of exercise, and put a timer on so that it's very obvious to the child. What your listener is doing very well is modeling good habits. And I always say with most habits in life as parents, we have to learn that they're important. Then we have to model that they're important or do it, and then we have to teach it. So teaching children from an early age the importance of exercise for heart health, for brain health, for development, for socializing is super important. And then if walking is not enticing them, maybe we need to think of another form of activity, playing soccer in the park, or playing hide and seek with your child. There are forms of exercise that will be enticing to kids. And often exercise is easier for kids if they're doing it in a small group. So maybe getting some neighbors together and then playing a game together, if walking is not what's going to entice them. One could also make the walk a little bit more interesting. You say, you run ahead and we'll play hide and seek around the corner, or you run ahead, and if you can find a flower, then you can choose the next thing to find, or whatever. So playing games with kids. So play is the highest form of education. If they're playing, they often don't realize that they are actually exercising.
Mm-hmm. There was another question around children that don't, respond well to therapy, and they don't really talk much with the parents. So what advice do you have for someone like that who's got a child who they can see the child has got anxiety, is sort of stressed, they've tried to get them to therapy, but the child is not so keen, says it's not helpful, but the child also doesn't speak to them. So are there other ways they can explore?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very tricky scenario, and I would imagine it's an older child or a teen.
Yeah.
And then, a couple of clues there were, not only does the child not want to speak, but they're a little bit withdrawn. And remember that can be signs of depression or generalized anxiety. So children can present with tummy aches or headaches for anxiety, or loss in pleasure and activities they used to like, or lack of energy or rebellion if it's depression. So that's just another aspect to consider, whether it's not just needing to talk, it's a little bit more than that. Often children don't like to talk in a structured environment. So if you sit down and say, let's talk about this, then they don't like it. But if you go for a walk with them or a run and you casually bring things up and you say, oh, this is how I sometimes feel. So it's a less pressured and structured environment. They often do respond to that. But if you are really worried about your child, if they're sitting in a room, not wanting to interact, then it's probably worth taking them to a medical practitioner as well, just to see that it's not depression or an eating disorder, etc. But very often just taking that pressure off a formal environment, making it informal and playful, children do actually open up. And the other little trick is, the one voice message is so beautiful in that children need to feel safe, and children don't feel safe if they're in a critical environment. And I'm, very much responsible for this, as are other people, that we criticize our kids too much. But they say we actually need to praise our children 5 times more than we criticize them. And that creates a basket of trust. So if your child is not speaking, maybe as a parent, make a point of just being super positive to them. Not saying, oh, you're just a great child, but saying, I can see how much effort you've put into this project and I'm super proud of you. And sometimes just that, they see me, I'm not all bad, then it also allows them to feel trust you enough to talk.
Yeah, those are some great tips there, Professor Claudia Gray. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Breathe in, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. In, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. Again. In, insurance. Out, pineapple. Again and again.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Introducing South Africa's most affordable way to get hearing aids. At Specsavers Audiology, you can now get a pair of hearing aids from as little as 599 Rand per month. Hearing clearly shouldn't be a luxury. Enjoy life's moments from 599 Rand per month. Test your hearing today and join the conversation with Specsavers Audiology. T's and C's apply.
Coming up next, the Midday Report with Mendy Wiener. How are you doing, Mendy?
Good, thank you, Clement.
Good. What's popping?
So two panels, investigations, inquiries running at the same time. At the one in Tshwane, witness X is testifying remotely at the Madlanga Commission with their identity being concealed. And then at the ad hoc inquiry in Parliament, Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya is on the stand for a second day there. We'll also find out from Daily Maverick about why they've brought an application to have this Madlanga Commission testimony not held in camera. The DA has filed a no-confidence motion against the Deputy Tshwane Mayor. The Limpopo bus accident victims struggling with identification. And then, what's going to happen tonight? Bafana need a miracle to qualify.
We do need that. And we need Nigeria to beat Benin.
And we are our own worst enemies.
Yeah, let's send some positive vibes and be hopeful. Let's hope tomorrow we'll be celebrating tomorrow when we start the show. That's the Midday Report coming up with Wendy Mina. We'll be back with you tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Witness X is currently testifying remotely at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry with their identity concealed for their safety. The witness is picking up where crime intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo left off, unpacking WhatsApp messages between attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Kat Matlala and several prominent figures. The witness has started by outlining messages between Matlala and KZN Hawks boss Lisija Sinona, who is alleged to have